It is nice to see some positive movement toward clarity, which is what people have been asking for many years now. We're working with people in the industry to find out where the pain points are, where is existing law prohibiting them from trying things that they would otherwise be trying to do to serve their customers. So with their insights about where the pain points are, we're working with our staff to figure out how we can address those using our existing authority.
My name is Clinton Donnelly, and I'm the CEO of Crypto Tax Audit, which is a large tax preparation firm in the US for crypto traders. We're constantly posting content on Twitter and on YouTube. So we do taxes, we also do regulations. So I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk to you today about the new regulation that's happening in your role at the SEC.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. And I do want to start by giving you my disclaimer, which is that my views are my own views as a commissioner, not necessarily those of the SEC or my fellow commissioners.
Well, first of all, I think it's exciting that this is a very historic day. President Trump just signed the Genius Act, which is really the first major cryptocurrency legislation that's come through to start to regulate the cryptocurrency industry. And I have to compliment you on wearing an orange Bitcoin jacket today. So that's very nice. What are your reflections upon this historic day and the types of regulations that are coming down?
Yeah, well, it is an exciting day. As someone who's been in this regulatory space, watching crypto be, I think, mishandled regulatorily, it is nice to see some positive movement toward clarity, which is what people have been asking for many years now. The Genius Act, which was signed into law today, deals with payment stablecoins, which are not within the Commission's jurisdiction, but it's great to have a confirmation that they are indeed not within our jurisdiction, that they are under banking regulators' jurisdiction. But I think payment stablecoins have already gained a lot of popularity, and putting a regulatory framework around them is I think, a reasonable step to take, and will be helpful for the people that we regulate as they look at integrating payment stablecoins into the work they do. And so we look forward to working with people on that as they think about how they can serve their clients better by integrating payment stablecoins. And then, of course, this is phase one. There's also a lot of work being done around market structure. The House passed the Clarity Act, which deals with market structure, and the Senate is working on legislation for market structure as well. That is likely to also help move us toward greater regulatory clarity. If that gets signed into law, that will give us probably at the SEC some responsibilities in terms of rule writing and things like that. Looking forward to working with Congress as they're working through this legislation.
What do you think are going to be some of the biggest regulatory hurdles for cryptocurrency as we go down this path? What are the challenges that you think we're going to have to really come to a meeting of the minds on?
Well, I think that one of the issues that's plagued the crypto industry and, frankly, regulators over recent years has been this question of when do the securities laws apply? So when we talk about crypto assets, are we talking about securities or not talking about securities? Because the answer to that question matters a lot for a lot of other questions. And so I think that's an area that we need to be able to give people a way of making that assessment easily of whether something is a security or not. And then once people have made that assessment, I think another big area to work out is, are there places in the existing rule set that the new technology underlying crypto assets simply that it somehow conflicts with, or maybe makes certain aspects of the rules unnecessary, or makes certain aspects of the rules need to be updated to take a more principles-based approach. And so those are some of the areas that I think both in Congress and here at the SEC and at other agencies we're working on.
Well, I know the Clarity Act, I think they're planning on that hopefully being passed by October. I know even next week, the Treasury Department should be releasing the study of making all the regulatory agencies work together on regulating crypto and what those proposals are. How long do you think it'll be until companies have a real clear rule set in terms of how to really develop the crypto industry in their businesses?
As with anything in Washington, these things can take time. And so part of the clarity will come through legislation. But even when legislation is passed, there's a period where you have to adopt rules. And so part of the clarity will come through legislation. But even when legislation is passed, there's a period where you have to adopt rules. And then there's an implementation period. And that can all take some time because when you adopt rules, you go out for public comment on the rule proposals and then you finalize them. So that whole process can take time and you want to get them right. So that process is not going to be done next week or next month or even in October or the end of the year, right? That's going to take some time to get those rules in place. But the SEC and other regulators can work immediately using existing authority. And we certainly do have authority in this space. We're working with people in the industry to find out where the pain points are, where is existing law prohibiting them from trying things that they would otherwise be trying to do to serve their customers. With their insights about where the pain points are, we're working with our staff to figure out how we can address those using our existing authority. And you can see some of that coming out in terms of staff guidance, which has already come out. We're working toward rulemaking, again, using our existing authority. And so I'm hopeful that people will be able to see some of that sometime this year. And then we're also looking for opportunities where we can provide maybe exemptive relief or no action letters. And those are the kinds of things that can take some time to get one of those over the finish line, but I'm hoping that you'll see some of that kind of no action letter guidance and exemptive relief coming out sometime this year, I hope.
Very encouraging. One of the purposes for the creation of the SEC was to protect individual investors from bad actors in the securities industry. And for our cryptocurrency clients, they are frequently victimized by scams and other sorts of fraudulent investment proposals. How do you see the SEC being able to help address these sorts of concerns that the individual investor has?
Yeah, well, I think it does go back to the conversation that we were just having about where the SEC's jurisdiction lies. And so we can go after bad activities such as what you raised when there is a securities offering involved. But there are many bad things that happen in the name of crypto and in the crypto world that are simply not within our jurisdiction. And so in those instances, we can make referrals to other folks at the federal and state level who might be able to pursue bad conduct. We do at the SEC have a portal where you can provide information if you see bad conduct. We have a tips, complaints, and referral button on our website that people can go to. They can become whistleblowers if they see something bad happening and tell us about it. And that can prompt us to open an investigation if it involves a securities issue or otherwise refer it to someone else. And so I really do encourage people to let us know if they see bad activity. But certainly as we write rules around crypto-related issues that are also securities issues, one of the things that's driving us in writing those rules is investor protection. We have a threefold mission: protecting investors, facilitating capital formation, and fostering market integrity, fair, orderly, and efficient markets. And so we're always thinking about those three objectives as we write rules. I think one thing to remember is that part of protecting investors is ensuring that they have access to a wide variety of investment opportunities. We could, and sometimes regulators do want to take a merit regulatory approach in which they say, if we don't think this is a good investment for you, then we'll tell you you can't invest in it. That is not what Congress asked us to do at the SEC. They asked us to develop a disclosure framework so that we could get information to people and then people could make good decisions that worked for them on the basis of that information. And so that's where we spend a lot of our time, is trying to make sure that companies that are issuing securities are making disclosures that can help people to understand what they're buying.
One of the big areas now is exchange traded products. And we've seen it in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some others are starting to hit the market. Where do you see the ETF business going? Do you see there being ETFs supporting the thousands of coins that are out there, or do you see it staying more with the mainstream layer one blockchains?
Well, and I think that really does follow nicely from the last question because, again, we're not a merit regulator in terms of what kinds of products people can offer. We just require there to be, now they have to meet the standards of the Act and of our securities laws, but we really do embrace this view that you can offer lots of different products, but you've got to have disclosures that highlight the risks of those products. And so that's certainly the basis that we're starting on is we're not, even when we allow a product to be out there trading, it is not a sign that we've said this is a good product for anyone. That's a determination that people have to make on their own. We've gotten a lot of incoming requests to related to list products from exchanges that want to list products that relate to a range of different crypto assets. When those come in, it can be a quite time-consuming process to review those applications to list a product. Our staff is working very diligently on those, and we will apply to them the same standards that we apply to other similar products. This is actually a change from what we had been doing over recent years, which is applying a standard that was different for crypto products than for other types of products. And so what we're trying to do now is normalize that and apply the same kinds of standards that we apply in other instances. And so the answer to your question is if those products based on other crypto assets meet the same standards that we've required in other areas, then they will be able to trade in the United States.
Very good. If someone is developing a blockchain product, an investment product, oftentimes they're daunted by all the complexity of starting a company and getting initial funding, et cetera. How should they go about engaging with the SEC and starting that regulatory compliance step?
Yeah, I really love that question because I think it is really daunting. And I have been talking to people over recent days who have made exactly that point about how difficult it can be to even know where to start. So you don't know how to move forward given the complexity of the regulation. So I really do encourage people to come in and talk to us at the SEC. We have tried at the Crypto Task Force to be very open. We publish all of the written input that we have gotten in response to the questions that I've posed. And then we also publish a meeting log so people can see who we're meeting with. And we also have a place on our webpage where you can put in a meeting request or put in a written submission. And so I encourage people to come and talk to us as they're thinking about what they want to do. We can't be your lawyer, but we really enjoy hearing what you're trying to build and thinking about how that fits within the securities laws. Talking to folks too, if they think there are certain aspects of the securities laws that are particularly difficult to deal with, we're happy to talk about possible exemptions or no action letters. Again, with always bearing in mind that we do have investor protection and market integrity objectives that we have to fulfill. But Congress really had foresight and they gave us the ability to make adjustments. And so we're always happy to have that conversation. It's better to have it as you're thinking about developing something or releasing a product so that we can talk to you before you have gone live with something.
Well, that's my last question. Thank you very much for your answers, Hester. And I'm just so thankful for the SEC taking a more proactive role towards the regulation of the cryptocurrency industry. And hopefully we can talk again after the Clarity Act is passed. That sounds great. Thank you very much for your time. And I wish you the very best.
I've enjoyed our conversation.